Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS live stream, our video for the core picks for today for May 26th. It's a big 12-game main slate on this Friday, so it's going to be a typical Friday, 12 games in total. But what we'll be doing in this video, as per usual, going through a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out, talking a little bit about weather concerns for today. It doesn't look like too much going on at this point in time. Going over to FanDuel, talking about my core picks, and then last but not least, going over to the bottom half of my cheat sheet up on the YouTube community tab and talking through my top GPP stacks for today overall. With that being said, that cheat sheet is 100% free. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on Twitter. You can find it on the YouTube community tab. It's also up on Patreon, patreon.com/Coach Craig Sports. Small monthly donation over there. You get some additional notes to hitter versus pitcher matchups, kind of a little bit of breakdown on each pitcher, whether I would consider them in play, a risky play, avoiding them on the daily basis. So definitely be sure to check that out. That is up Monday through Friday, just like my core pick videos. So, you get about 25 of those a month, $5 a month, about 25 cents a day, sometimes less, just depending on the month. So very good information as you're starting to build your lineups out for today overall. But without being further ado, we'll get started with the recap of yesterday's core picks that I did have. At pitcher, we had Lucas Giolito at $10,000. He had been pitching pretty well as of late. Unfortunately, going against Detroit, he did not have a good day by any means. Control really wasn't there yesterday. And for a guy like Lucas Giolito, who is primarily fastball changeup, if one of those two pitches is kind of off on any given day, it's probably going to be a little bit rougher day for him anyways. So didn't quite have the control there, as you see with the 7 walks, gave up 4 runs, 6 hits in 3 innings, only got 11 points. So he was a miss yesterday. If you went to Logan Gilbert, he was like the most popular play. He was also the best pitcher on yesterday's slate. JP Sears, who was another guy that I did like in my cheat sheet a little bit. Unfortunately, did not have a lot of strikeouts, only gave up 1 run in 5 innings, though, so that kind of limited his upside, but didn't pitch bad by any means. And then as we move down to the hitters, a little bit of a rough day here. Anthony Rizzo was 0 for 4 at $3,300. He gets 0 points, so he's a miss. Gleyber Torres, his teammate, at $3,200, 1 for 4 with just a single. So he got 3 points. He was a miss as well. And then Trey Turner, who I liked quite a bit yesterday, was very popular on yesterday's slate as well. $2,800, went 0 for 5 yesterday, so it was really unfortunate for him. However, kind of the one saving grace in the core picks yesterday was Michael Conforto at $3,100. Got the 36.7 points, so he was ahead. He was the top overall outfielder on yesterday's slate. So if you kind of mixed and match yesterday, like I did recommend, got some Logan Gilbert in there, got some other Braves hitters in there, had a decent chance at cashing yesterday. My best lineup yesterday did have Logan Gilbert. It had the Braves hitters, and unfortunately a White Sox stack on the other end, which didn't really pan out as much, but still a pretty strong lineup. If you would have had a different stack in there with the Braves and that lineup, probably would have been really close to the top on yesterday's slate. But with that being said, like always, you want to mix and match a little bit with MLB, especially when it comes to stacking and everything else like that. But with that being said, we're going to stop sharing this screen. We'll get over to RotoWire, talk a little bit about the weather that could be in play for tonight's games overall. So let me bring this up here real quick. As we are talking through it, there is really only truly one game that could be a little bit affected by weather today. That is the New York Mets going against the Colorado Rockies in Colorado. You see it here marked as a 44% chance of precipitation. We'll see what that game looks like by the time we get to lock. If anything really does change, if it gets delayed, postponed, anything else like that, I will try to leave that update down in the comments below. You'll also see that wind is really blowing out there today as well. So if they do end up playing, probably going to be a pretty popular game. Max Scherzer versus Connor Siebold. Expect the Mets to be very popular, but if this game does not end up going off, then, kind of all bets are off at that point in time, and a lot of ownership is going to have to go elsewhere, which could really change the slate in a large way overall. But with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing that screen. We'll get over to FanDuel, talk about the core picks that I do have listed for today. So if you are brand new to my video, my live stream, checking it out for the very first time, typically the way I do this, 1 pitcher, 4 hitters, highlighting guys that I do like for today. You don't necessarily have to play all these guys together, but if you're playing multiple lineups, you're building out multiple stacks and everything else like that, these are some guys that you probably want to sneak into some of those lineups, some of those stacks in general. But with that being said, the pitcher that I do have for today is going to be Chris Sale. He's $10,100. And he's had a pretty nice bounce back season, if we're being completely honest. He's pitched really well as of late. ERA is still over 5, 4 wins, averaging about 30 fantasy points, but the last 4 starts have been up over 40 points. He's had at least 8 strikeouts the past 3 starts, so pretty good there. quality starts in the last 4 starts, so definitely do like that. He has very limited history versus this Arizona Diamondbacks team. Typically favors the pitcher in general when the hitters haven't seen him before in the past. There's a few guys that have seen him before, like Uriel, or not Yuri, Lourdes Gurriel, excuse me, Evan Longoria, a couple guys like that. But in terms of history, not too much there. Chris Sale looking a little bit more like his old self, $10,100, not a bad value there. But there is a ton of pitchers that are completely viable on tonight's slate. So mixing and matching those guys definitely going to make a lot of sense as we're building out lineups. Especially if you're playing multiple lineups, if you're only playing like 1 to 3 lineups, probably focus on the 3 pitchers that you do like best on today's slate overall. But then as we move down, I'm going with first baseman / outfielder Darren Ruff. He is $2,000, which is obviously the flat minimum price tag. So he's going to be a guy that we want to highlight today. He is 8 for 17 with 1 home run in his career versus Alex Wood, who is pitching for the San Francisco Giants. Obviously, there hasn't been too much here for Darren Ruff this season, and 278, 0 home runs, 3 RBIs. Under 5 fantasy points, but a lot of these games have been like 1 at bat games, partial at bat games. He spent some time with the Brewers. He spent some time with the Giants before that too. So if you want to play a little bit of revenge narrative there is that in play. If that's something you buy into. Myself personally, I don't get too deep down that rabbit hole though. But for $2,000, offer some upside. If he hits a home run at $2,000, we're going to be extremely, extremely happy right there. Then we're going to go down to third baseman, Austin Riley. He's probably going to be pretty popular today since he did have that monster game yesterday. He's $3,000, averaging over 10 fantasy points on the season. Obviously, been a little bit slower start to the year for him, but starting to turn around as of late. He's up to that 264 average, 9 home runs, 26 RBIs. $3,000, still a pretty reasonable price tag for him at this point in time. Like I said, he did hit the 2 home runs yesterday, 2 back-to-back multi-hit games. And let's see what this is. That's like an 8-game hitting streak at this point in time. So really starting to turn around as of late. Going against Taiwan Walker, 3 for 7 with 1 home run versus him in his career. So some pretty good history at that as well. So definitely do like Austin Riley on today's slate overall. And then moving down to Fernando Tatis Jr., another guy that is expected to be pretty popular today. You can play him at shortstop. You can play him at outfield. He's only $3,600. He has that really strong upside. He's going against a rookie pitcher in Randy Vasquez for the New York Yankees today. So there's no real history there, but Fernando Tatis Jr., 258 average, 7 home runs, 15 RBIs. They don't look like big stats, but you also have to remember they was suspended for about the first 20 games of the season too as well. Guy that has some hit or miss to his game, especially coming back with a little bit of rust and everything else like that. But the upside is definitely worth it at $3,600. And then as we keep moving down, we are at Marcell Ozuna, who is $2,800. Guy that I did play in a couple lineups yesterday, really paid off in a big way. And he was at pretty low ownership as well. So he's hit a home run 2 straight games now. Up to a 222 average, 10 home runs, 21 RBIs. He's really been hitting for power as of late. So definitely do like that upside at a reasonable price tag of $2,800. 1 for 4 versus Taiwan Walker in his career. Taiwan Walker has been very hit or miss so far in 2023, but definitely do like Marcell Ozuna just in general today. Like the upside that he can present, and he's been on that power surge as of late. So with that being said, that's what I do have in terms of core picks. If you go with the 5 players that I do have listed, you have $13,500 remaining, just under $3,400. So a little bit of room there. If you want to pay up for a couple different players, you can definitely do that. If you want to pay down for a couple other options to fill in the rest of the way from there, or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, that's definitely fine on tonight's slate. But with that being said, we're going to stop sharing this screen over on FanDuel. We'll go over to the YouTube community tab, look at that bottom half of the cheat sheet, and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for today overall. So with that being said, there's 12 games out there. There's a lot of teams that I think are stackable today. Only 4 fit on the cheat sheet on any given day. Sometimes I'm able to sneak a 5th one on there, but there's probably about 4 or 5 other teams that I do have listed on the Patreon page, patreon.com/Coach Craig Sports, if you want to look into that as well. But these are the top 4 that I do have at this point in time. We have the Atlanta Braves going against Taiwan Walker. A lot of these guys have hit him pretty well in the past, whether it's Marcell Ozuna, who's 1 for 6, but he's on that hot streak as of late. We got Austin Riley, who's hit him well. Ronald Acuna has hit him well. Michael Harris has 1 at bat against him, but it was for a home run. So there's some pretty good upside with those hitters for the Atlanta Braves today. Matt Olson, 2 for 7 as well. And then we have the New York Mets. They are going against Connor Siebel. No history there versus him before, but it is in Coors Field. The wind's projected to blow out. If this game goes off, the Mets are going to be a very popular stack, and they're going to be a pretty strong play overall today. And then we move over to the Padres, going against that rookie pitcher and Randy Vasquez for the New York Yankees. Hasn't been the greatest in AAA for them this season. So I do like the Padres bat, some of that potent offense that they could present, whether it's a Fernando Tatis Jr., a Xander Bogaerts. I like Jake Cronenworth a little bit today, especially at second base. Second base isn't my favorite position overall. He's only $2,800. Could have some upside there as well. And then moving over to Texas Rangers, going against Grayson Rodriguez, one of the top pitching prospects. Hasn't been too great this year. They faced him a little bit earlier this year. Some of these guys 1-for-2 versus him. Josh Jung has a little bit of upside there at third base, kind of like him there. If you're not playing Austin Riley, he's $3,400. Or if you want to play both together, could be interesting there. Adolis Garcia maybe as well, since he's been hitting the ball extremely well, but his price tag is definitely up there at this point in time. But with that being said, that's kind of what I have in terms of the core picks for today, in terms of top GPP stacks and everything else like that. If you guys have any questions whatsoever in terms of MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on today's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks, whether it's someone from my cheat sheet, my top GPP stacks, or a completely different player you guys think I'm definitely interested in hearing what you guys have to say. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I have at this point in time. With that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, you found this video or the content that I am presenting very useful and informative, would appreciate it if you do subscribe to the channel. Really helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, it is primarily MLB DFS as well as USFL DFS. The USFL DFS video will be coming out later today, so definitely be sure to check that out if that's something you're into as well. But with that being said, pretty much all I do have at this point in time. Do appreciate everyone taking the time out of your day, whether you're watching live or on replay. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS tonight.